Okay, so now that we're able to relate data and store products that are related to a user, let's work on that shopping cart and the orders again, so that we can do more than just look at the products. Now, previously, in our user model, in the part which is now commented out, I had utility methods like add to cart to add products to the cart of that user. And actually, it was really useful to have these, because that allowed us to move logic from our controller into the model, which is typically where your data-related logic should live. So therefore, I will re-add it, and Mongoose makes this really simple. You can work on your schema, so on my user schema here, and then there, you'll have a methods key. The methods key is an object which allows you to add your own methods by simply, well, adding them, add to cart. And this should now be a function, and the important part is it has to be a function written like this, so that the this keyword in there still refers to the schema and not to something else. And now in this function, you can add your own logic, and that is exactly what I want to do. In this function, I want to add the logic I had in add to cart before and tweak it a little bit. So let's grab all that code from add to cart. Let's add it here and comment it back in. Now, the function here should also receive the product which I want to add. That is something we required in the past as well. So we still will get a product to that function. This is something we just need to assume because we are the one writing the code in the end. And now, in there, we should still be able to use this cart items because our schema has a cart and then an items array. So this should still work. And keep in mind, this will be called on a real instance based on that schema. So really on an object which will have a populated cart with either an empty array of items or an array of items with items in there. So this code should still work for getting the product index. I also still want to control my quantity as before and update my cart as before by first of all copying it. Then I will keep the logic of checking whether we already do have the product in the cart, in which case I'll calculate the new quantity based on the old quantity, and then I'll update my array, or if I will update my array by pushing a new object onto it. Now here, the thing just is, this will not work like that, but I can't just store the product ID like this and Mongoose should automatically wrap it in an object ID. The quantity can be stored like this, however. And this should fit my schema of an item with product ID and quantity. So make sure that the names you used up there in your schema are the names you use down there for creating new data. So with that, I got my updated cart. Now I don't need to get access to the database like this. Instead here, I will indeed return something, but I will not manually update this. Instead, I will just call this save, which should work. Before I do that, I just need to set this cart equal to the updated cart. Now, this should be a utility method that saves itself, so where the object saves itself by using the built-in save method, where we update the cart. Now, let's see if that works as it should. Let's go to the shop.js file, and there we have our post cart method. Now, I find my product by ID, which still should work because Mongoose gives us this function. And then I do indeed call request user add to cart, which should now also work because we just added this method to the user object in our user model. So this should work without any changes, hopefully. Let's go to the routes, therefore, and comment that post cart route back in. If I now save everything, let's go to products and let's try add to cart. I do get some output here. And let's now have a look at Compass and look into the users. There I have my cart. I got my items. And I got an ID in there. Now that was added by Mongoose automatically. It adds IDs for subdocuments as well. But most importantly, I got my product ID. And that product ID, which ends with 3C6, should be the ID of that product. And it is. And now let's confirm if that really works by going back again and adding that same product to the cart again. It still doesn't find the page it wants to load, but that is all right. Let's update our users collection now. Look into the cart. We got one object with quantity 2. So this is working. And this shows us the power of Mongoose. We get a bunch of nice built-in methods, which we also leverage here in our own method, which we can add, which we then can call on our objects that are based on our schema.